Even though, yeah, we've done it a bunch of times. Let's do that little convo because yesterday, or actually it was this morning. Was it this morning? No, that was yesterday. Yesterday, Monty did a tweet because he tracks this shit where he actually posted the numbers. And he's not comparing, by the way, guys, to like 10 years ago when it was CLG. No, he just compared to last year's summer split when it was LCS North, LCS Summer 2024, and everything is down, bro. So average viewers are down 21%. They're just 75,000 now. Peak viewers is down 39%, down to 159,000. Hours watched is down 53% to 4.7 million. And then hours broadcast is also down 40%. Now, the reason why those numbers are bonkers to me, Yamato, is because you can just take like not even a big Counter-Strike tournament and you could beat those numbers. Like that's impossible because in League, in theory, you had the biggest possible viewership in the 2010s. It was easy for the major regions, especially at NA, to get like the joke back in the day would be if it ever dipped below 100k concurrents, you'd think like something wrong, like is there something wrong with the internet or something? Like the idea that like we're going down from 95 to now we're on 75k average viewers. Like, I'm sorry, that just implies like no one gives a shit about the league anymore. And those numbers are just a graph that just goes down and down and down and down and down. Like at this point, I don't know what turns it around because I can tell you trends like that aren't just like this split trends. Like having, like even if you signed 10 awesome rosters or you, I don't know, fucking Doublethorn retires and comes back to play, that's not going to do it. That alone won't give you that spike. And the years of whatever's happened, it's really hard to turn that. To me, that's like turning one of those big tankers around me. It doesn't instantly turn it. It takes like 10 minutes to go. So in this analogy, you probably need like a 3-year plan to get it back to wherever you want to be. And then let's add in as well, the worst luck of all time, Yamato, would be that 100 Thieves actually makes Worlds. So you mean the team that was in the final of the last split and then went to Worlds, then just left the like. That looks so, and they're your guest team. That makes everyone look like a clown, unfortunately. And the real sad thing is this, Yamato. When I do watch this broadcast, there's plenty of problems with the LTA. The broadcast isn't that bad. It's not super sexy. They haven't really got a good angle or anything. But like, I enjoy watching Emily Rand talk. I like some of the casters. Those are some of the best League of Legends casters. I like people like Raz tries to bring some personality and have some fun angles with it. The problem is though, like, you're not trying to attract me, a 40-year-old boomer who watched all of esports. You're trying to get the kid who I think, quite frankly, they either don't watch League now, they've quit if they're American, or they just get up and watch LCK in the morning, or maybe they're an LEC fan. They're like a fan of one of the teams that like G2 or Carmine Cop or so. It feels like NA fandom is just done, mate. They're just done with this game, unfortunately. And I don't know about you, but I don't have like a very, I can't envision how it turns around at this point. I feel like it's sort of just going to dwindle out and die. And what will happen is the rest of the world will still exist. That's why oh yeah, I'll tell you where I'll tie it to you, Barto. When FlyQuest did that publicity stunt last week, where they were like, a lot of teams are leaving the region and the game is going down. And I already told my Discord, don't worry, there's no chance they are actually leaving and saying that, for fuck's sake. You say that to do the rug pull, to go, everything's terrible, but we're here for like 3 more years. In their case, it was they just launched they launched like a fucking clothing collab or whatever the fuck, right? But I actually made the point to my Discord though. Here's what doesn't really work about that though. When you say like, but League's bigger than ever, yeah, not your region, where all your sponsors are, and where your ownership is, and all your fans are. Like, how does China and Korea being insane numbers help you and your sponsors in America? It doesn't. And actually, if people don't know, I'll tell you a very serious reason why actually it's the orgs like the Cloud9s of the world you should be worried about, Yamato. Because I actually think if you're Riot, the only reason you can continue LTA, in my opinion, is you're going to have to actually give money back to those teams. I think you're going to have to go closer to the VCT model, and it's going to have to be, you have to give them their buy-ins back, mate. And here's the reason I say it, because you desperately need the Cloud9s and the FlyQuests of the world. If these teams are these orgs, Cloud9's probably the last team, look at the last org that has old school fans. If those orgs leave, you are cooked. And the reason why this is so significant is I can tell you 10, 15 years ago, if you were in North American esports, they had way more money in their ecosystem than Europe, right? I know I used to work for a European team. And what they even told me back then, the North American orgs like Evil Geniuses and Cloud9, is back then, because all your sponsors are North American, they didn't even need you to be in League like the world champion. You don't have to be T1. You just have to go to Worlds every time. You just have to win a few LCS. Because to an American sponsor, if they hear, well, I'm an American sponsor, you're an American team, and you won the American League, Perfect. You're the number one team in America. That's all they wanted the sponsor because that he can sell off that. The idea that you're like irrelevant teams, now no one watches the league. And when you go international, unless you're FlyQuest, you're not doing anything. I mean, sadly, Cloud9 did nothing at the EWC like that. And they're not even going to be at Worlds. Like that region is so doomed. I'm sorry. I don't like to be a doomer, but I don't know how it turns around, mate. I feel like it's just going to die and we're going to become a 3-region fucking game.
No, I'm with you. There's so many decisions along the way that have just been so bad for the momentum that they had at one point in time. The shift of focus from internally what was making them successful, the accessibility of the players and the personalities. It's like how famous all of those guys were in Korea even.
But you're like me. I think of some of the times when it used to be like Jensen versus Bjergsen in the final. Bro, I was hyped. I was like watching the Super Bowl. I was waiting till 2 in the morning for that game to start. It was fucking sick, wasn't it? That was actually like legit hype.
Yeah,
now I watch some of these like I did now. I have to watch it for the fucking show. It's like bloody, it's like homework, like fucking hell. I'll put 2 hours aside, you know, like
it's like Doublelift, Bjergsen, Jensen, like these guys being out. That was like the last remnant of the old era of the LCS, because they were the follow-up post COG era and TSM and so forth. They had so much momentum. They were talked about in every. They was the most popular region. Like they were talking about in China and Korea. Like everyone knew about these guys. They were rock stars. They were superstars. And then at some point, it was just that one. Lucian getting caught by a Victor that just shifted the focus. Like we need to win internationally. We need to win internationally.
I just love the idea in your mind that the whole like we gotta go back, but the moment in time you would go back to save NA is you would just jump out of that teleporter as Doublelift's about to flash in. Just be like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. And then it changed all of history. That's the butterfly effect. That changed the whole future of the whole league. Basically, Doublelift threw the entire future of the LCS. But that's the headline.
You know, if maybe
it's so, in a way, in a really extended way, it's sort of low-key true. I don't.
As the shift changed to competing internationally, there would be no conflict of interest conversation with Doublelift. There would be no spring split is useless conversation with Doublelift. There would not be all of these things along the way. You know, like you know, it's painful to look back at and say like the rebranding. It's like for the OGs, like we knew how pissed Europeans were for us losing the EU LCS name. It's like, why the hell are they getting the LCS name? We got a rebrand with LEC? Fuck that shit. But there's like, everyone took it in stride and everyone worked really hard because this was when the LEC broadcast was really peaking. Them being like not under the supervision of NA really made, of course, the LEC pop off. So it's like, there's so many things along the way that have just screwed over everything, and I don't want to come across as like a capitalist, you know, pig, just but it's like you just put all the money possible, invite all the big players, and make this a region where you have just full freedom about who you recruit, and I think that's the only way you revive it. And you pull in interest from everywhere and just make it into a league that is fun. Because in the end, the teams that are winning are the ones that have great players on green cards. Is that really like a good metric to go by? Because the talent pool, as sad as it sounds, it's like it's just not there anymore. So make it wrestling, make it entertaining. I think that's like the only way to really save it. Or we will go into a future where somehow the LTA is going to be absorbed by the LEC. But the issue is, they have that arena next to the Riot office. Like that would be the kind of forfeiting that implies so much more. And I think that they need to hold on to that for their life, just because of the implications. Like that is the arena you've built next to your headquarters. If that falls, I think the implications are way bigger than just the league. So navigating that is tricky, but I think they just gotta open borders. You know, open borders. I know. Maybe it's hard with visas or whatever, but they just gotta open borders for the LTA specifically.
That's how you know politically that we're in a different world, because in the game of League of Legends, I agree with open borders. That would be the one area you would find me on that side. Normally, I'll go the opposite angle usually on that one, you know, it's all good. No, I actually low-key do agree, Martin. I'm literally serious. Look, put it this way, if you tasked me, you know those guys who come in, they're called like crisis CEOs or something, where your company's failing, it's like a huge public company. So you bring these guys in who are specialists at like trimming the fat and rebranding and doing like a Hail Mary. Here's what I would do if I was brought in tomorrow to save LTA North. What I would do is this. I would literally, like I just said, look, I get why for Riot you wouldn't want to do this, but this is what I would do to save it. I would basically say, right, all the orgs that were here from before, like fucking Cloud9, Team Look, you get your fee back. Whatever amount you've paid so far of the fee over the years, you get it back. And then now that I've given you it back, so you don't like own anything in the league anymore, now I'm basically going to do a review. And I'm sorry, all the other orgs, the smaller ones, Disguise, Toast, and Digs, we're going to do a review, and it's going to be like VCT. I want everyone to apply, and I'm going to go, and I would actively court them, by the way. I would go to FaZe Clan, Optic Gaming, all the famous brands in Sentinels. I would go to all the brands in Valorant and Counter-Strike and Call of Duty that are big North American brands, Envy, all these classic ones, and I would tell them what would be attractive to you to want to run a team in my league. Because the reason why you need to do this, Yamato, is one, you need orgs that have enough investment money they can sign big name players. Because as we're pointing out here, another reason that you've sort of tanked your league is, I'm sorry, Parler Fox, you can't be a marquee player in this league. If you're a marquee player, no one gives a shit about this league. If you're the worst mid laner of the LTA, now we've got a fucking league. Now we could actually do something, mate. So we need big names. So we need people who can afford to sign, like Europeans. They can afford to sign fucking Koreans. And then secondly, the reason I want those orgs I just listed is those orgs have fan bases. There are people who play Valorant who must have played League of Legends. There's people who play Counter-Strike who definitely played League or Dota or something. If you get these fan bases, you at least have something. You have people who know how to hype an event, how to market it, how to do a homestand. There's another thing, by the way. I would also take the lesson of the LEC, which is the best thing in the LEC right now, is those homestands, because the Spanish and the French know how to set up an arena event and get all their fans there, and everyone buys a jersey. I could trust that people like Optic and FaZe know how to do things akin to that. This just happened in Counter-Strike when you saw it, bro. FaZe isn't even close to the number one team in Counter-Strike, but because they had Simple, the entire American arena was just fucking hyped for every FaZe game. That was like almost the home team, even though the joke is they only had one NA player in the lineup. It doesn't matter. They captured the hype and they had the swag. So I agree. In my opinion, you've got to do a crazy Hail Mary, because if you just do this approach where you tweak the dials one and then down one and then up one and then down, that doesn't do it. That's just, what, as you call it, like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. It's not going to ultimately fix anything in the long run, because this league is either going to die or it's going to have to completely do a resurgence. So I think you go for the Hail Mary. I still believe there's loads of American brands. Just they're not in the LCS anymore. There's just Cloud9 and Team Liquid. Man, people forget even FlyQuest was never that big outside of League. I don't even know what other games they're in, bro. I assume Rocket League or something like. I don't even follow games they're in, so I feel like they've let it gradually wither. So it's time for, like, you have to have the joke here is you need a revolution. You need a Shopify rebellion, as it were, but you need actual revolution in the fucking league, mate. You got to rethink it all. And one last thing I'll say is this. This is a little bit salty, but you know what? I've earned it. I've done this show for fucking 10 years, 11 actually. Right? Here's another thing I would just put out there. Dear Riot Games, dear Riot Global Office, you know how you're the guys who ultimately decide everything. So even if the LPL want to do their own things, right? They might want to hire Thorin for their LPL finals. Riot Global says we didn't approve that. You know, the LCK, they had their whole way of running esports for decades before Riot Games. No, Riot Korea. You do the way we want. We're Riot Global. We know best. Well, all I'm going to say is this, Riot Global. Your flagship project was the LCS. That was yours, your home region. You ran and made all the decisions for that. And it's the shittest project probably in the history of your game relative to where it began. You were essentially the guy who got a small loan of $1 million from your dad, and you have 4 cents and a button in your fucking pocket right now. So crazy idea. Maybe stay the fuck out of everyone else's business. Why not let the European office run everything there? Let the Chinese office run everything there? Let the Korean office record breaking numbers. Let them run their own fucking king at regions because you don't know what you're doing. So half of you that haven't already, fuck off to Valorant. And the ones that are here currently in NA, I'd be doing a Neo from Vitality. I'm firing every one of you motherfuckers. You don't know what you're doing. We need new management. We need new people because that was their region, Yamato. And I've heard, like the ULCS thing you referenced, they have made a lot of decisions over the years that looked like if there was a choice between NA and something else elsewhere, NA always won. NA always got what it wanted. So it hasn't worked. It's like the government. If the government continually fuck up, you have to fire the ministers and bring someone new in. You don't just keep the same guy doing it for 50 years. Like, even just for appearances alone, that's what you do. So I just hate the idea that, like, if you're Riot Global, you might have been able to brag about the Worlds and stuff in the past. You have mismanaged your own region really badly, really badly. And I think it's tragic, actually, because it's not like esports isn't big in America, Yamato. It's just League isn't anymore. That's what you fucked up. And also, I do think the mistake they made was thinking Valorant would be as big as League. It's good, but it's not as big as League. So if you ever thought what you were actually going to do was, like, you know, when it get even, you were going to hop onto that horse and let the other one do. No, that hasn't worked out. Like, that one, Valorant probably will never be as big as League. That's why I think you should. That's why also another thing. Stop this shit where, like, Valorant takes away studio time from League. Grow the fuck up. Actually get two separate things and run each region solely for what's best for that region. That's what made LEC awesome, was that LEC stopped being like the bitch fucking piggyback. Oh, everything we do is to build as like a pre-show for NALCS. As soon as that stopped, LEC flourished, mate. It became its own identity, its own league. It became massive. It even had better teams, you could argue, had better investment, everything. So I think that's another thing. You've got to, like, sometimes Riot is too hands-on. You've got to let the people who know what they're doing fucking operate, for fuck's sake. Anyway, there wasn't as many games because we did do an episode on Friday because I was ill. Still ill, but whatever. Doing episodes, fucking soldier. It's all good. Maybe I'm Paula Fox. Doesn't matter if my performance is that good. The show was done. As long as the show wins, the team wins in the end. That's all that matters. Let's do a little break and do some Q&A, yeah?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.